Hello everyone. My name is Olivia. I live in California and enjoy spending time in luxurious places as I got more money than I ever expected. I never had so much money, but my talent brought fame to me and all the beauties of life on my feet. Stay with me. I'm going to share how my fortune worked and changed my whole life. I have gone through ups and downs before I could manage this life. It had played tricks on me throughout the years, but each passing day secured confidence for me. After every defeat, I found myself stronger because each event brought strength to my muscles. Everyone faces a horrible situation in his life, but it varies from person to person how he deals with it. I am a human and have feelings too. I knew that it was I who had to face my share of problems. So I decided to start controlling my emotions. It's hard, but you have to do it to make life going on. You can say in some way smoother maybe. My heart was storing the miseries of life, which helped me in writing. The first event which almost made me mad was the death of my lovely mother. I was only 6 years old when I had to face this harsh reality of life. It was hard for me to move on. My dad tried his level best to make the situation normal for me. But what could you expect from a 6-year-old child? The separation was dreadful as each night of mine was occupied with horrible dreams. I seemed alive, but my muscles knew that I was dead inside. My brain wasn't going to accept the death of my mother. My heart got replete with dark feelings for the first time. I used to weep all day long, and nights were playing with the cells of my brain. Panic attacks were normal in those days. I had sought before for toys and gifts, but this time it was different. I learned that I was living in a world where nothing is permanent. Things exist here to vanish someday. That was the first time when I scribbled some words in my notebook. Maybe that was the last and the best favor done by my mom to me. The person who I trusted the most after my father was my school teacher. She was familiar with the fact that I felt alone after the death of my mother. She behaved more like a friend to me than like a teacher. She understood me so well that even if I didn't speak, she would comprehend my mind. I felt that God had sent an angel straight from heaven to revive me, to make me live again. I told my dad about her. He was happy to learn that I had found someone who was trying to ease my poor condition. I talked about her to him time and again. On the parents-teacher meeting day, my father met her. Maybe he was attracted by her blonde hair and the beautifully carved lips. She was looking more gorgeous than usual. I don't know why, but I liked them chatting joyously. She told him about my educational performance. I noticed that my dad was attracted to the way she was speaking. She might have noticed it too. My dad took a step further and asked for her cell number. She didn't hesitate and gave the number promptly. Surely they were going to be connected soon. My father might have needed that as he had been alone for a long time, as I was. And she was the lady who took interest in our colorless lives. It was a great experience out there which built my concept further. Now, I was habitually confining my emotions in my diary. I wrote the whole incident, quite poetically, in my notes. A week later, while my dad and I were enjoying watching a movie, he initiated, "You have a really nice friend." I found myself a mature person as I guessed what he was talking about. "Are you talking about my teacher?" Maybe the suffering had shaped my emotions and increased my thinking capacity. He blushed. "Yeah. Don't you think she cares about you?" "Yeah, she does." It seemed as if he wanted to say something else, but his mind was puzzled to shape the sentence. He ended the conversation, and soon our eyes were glued to the screen. I noticed his face. It was dwelling with a mixture of expressions. I tried to read his mind, but it was too messy to comprehend. After all, he was my dad. The next morning brought the greatest happiness of my life when he told me that he was dating my teacher. I was happy to learn that they were connected so far. He told me that she would come to our house that very weekend for dinner. I can't express how happy I was. It was Tuesday and I still had to wait for 4 days. It seemed to me as if someone had strengthened the time deliberately. Finally, the night came. She was well dressed in red. We enjoyed the meal, and later my father announced that they were going to get married. Both asked for my permission, but instead of speaking even a single word, I just hugged my mom. She wasn't my biological mother, but the warmth she had in her arms was calming enough to make my pain fly away. Years passed, but her love never fainted, neither for my dad nor for me. We were more emotionally attached to each other. The strength of the bonds among us was just beyond words. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to give birth to a child, but she never regretted it, as she considered me her own child and treated me well. My high school was over, and I joined one of the best colleges in the state. My writing was mature enough to inspire my teacher and classmates. I won various competitions, but I had never thought that one day it would work to bring millions of dollars for me. A disaster happened before I could complete my degree. My dad died in a car crash. It was a horrible day for my stepmom and me. We hugged each other and wept. He was the only support of our family. We didn't know how we would manage to keep things in shape. The house rent, the electricity bill, and my tuition fee were all burdens on us. An unexpected incident occurred. One day while my mom and I were calculating our assets, the doorbell rang. We didn't have any notion of who would be outside. When I opened the door, my professor was standing there. I welcomed him into my house. I didn't know his intention. We made our way towards the guest room where my mom was busy with the calculations. She greeted him and asked me to bring coffee for him. I scuttled back towards the kitchen and started to prepare coffee. Before I could go into the room, my professor made his way out of the house. I didn't know what happened to him. When I asked my mom about it, her face glowed with anger. She told me that he wanted to marry me. It was unsettling for me too. I made my way to the room. We did not have dinner together that very night because I was confused to face my mother. The next week was a mess for me, so I tried to avoid him in college. But then I started thinking rationally. I knew that he was a rich man, and he could support us in that very situation. I never had heard anything bad about him and convinced myself that he might like me. I mustered up the courage and talked to my mom. I discussed our concerns with her. She was opposed to the idea of marriage, but I convinced her. My life had a new turn. The beginning was romantic, it was all pleasing, and seemed like it would never end. I started writing romantic verses and essays on my Instagram page. It was getting more followers with the passage of time. People loved what I wrote. But I learned that happiness isn't meant to stay forever as sadness does. He was cheating on me. But what could I do? I stayed. My mom discovered this reality about his character and urged me to get divorced. I had to follow what my mother said. I got divorced. We didn't know how we could manage, but a miracle happened. One day while we were watching TV, my phone ranged. I ignored it. It ranged again. It was an unknown number. Though I picked up the call, I was shocked. That call was from Selena Gomez. She had read my verses and wanted copyrights to create a song. Her voice added more magic to my verses, and it was trending top on YouTube. I was hired by her for more songs. I became famous shortly. Now, I'm a full-time songwriter. The major incidents in life had made me a good writer. Most of people have the same pains in one way or the other. My verse attracts them in this case. My mom and I love to travel. I beg your pardon now, as I have to get ready for a party tonight.